I think it seems to me that, part of the issue may be just the sheer amount of people in that group. I mean, there's there's a lot of people in that group. Just recently, a friend of mine had a space program group, and she decided to get off Facebook. She gave the control over to somebody else who may or may not have space program dealings. I'm not quite sure. He's wrote an essay about some stuff that has happened to him, and he actually said that there was some consequences for that, and that was just a couple days ago. But that group
I know him.
That group only has about 150, maybe 200 people in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like that's more concise. There's a lot less. I don't want to say shit posting because it's not shit posting, but just random articles and shit. It's more like people just talking about their experiences and everything. And he's actually doing a pretty good job with it. He took it to private, and he seems to be trying to clone what you guys are doing in your group. I think it's great.
Well, he's a friend of mine, and I think he's doing an excellent job. He's actually an engineer and has a revived version of I just blanked on the guy's name. Otis T, and the last initial is C. Dr. Otis was a protege of Tesla's, and he created an antigrav engine in the 1950s that disappeared about 1960. And the guy that's running that group now has found the paperwork and made an updated version, and he's being courted by DARPA for it. So I hope he manages to survive.
Yeah, and like I said, he has already said, I'm not sure exactly what happened. He didn't go into detail. I didn't want to press him on it. But he posted something about some experiences he had, and he said there was immediately repercussions. So
yeah, there are. If you talk, there are repercussions.
Oh yeah, or like what happened on like 2 days ago with that remote viewing, where somebody was concerned about somebody, right, and posted it on the group, and we took it down for privacy reasons, but we remote viewed the info to see what happened to the person, and I saw some very weird, dark things. And then I reported that, and we got back that there's nothing really going on. I'm not sure if there is or isn't, but I was attacked for it. So for that remote viewing, there might be something going on. I'm not going to speculate.
Well, a third admin who is not public, so I won't name this person, tried to remote view and was shown psychically script in red letters, and he said it wasn't in English, but that he knew that it meant access denied, and he had a missing time episode that his wife, who is not one of us, considered to be an epileptic seizure. So you weren't the only one injured, but you were injured a lot worse than he was. I was just given a black wall. It was like, you're not going there. So I did receivings on the person, and that has its own style of psychic link on a different wavelength frequency. So I was able to have a psychic connection with the person, knew he was alive, sent him healing energy, and I have never felt the connection leave. So as far as I know, I'm still connected to him.
Yeah, and what I was shown that there was some kind of an accident and something, some injuries and something. We were told there wasn't anything like that, that the person is fine. But I got attacked for what I saw. There was like a white TR-3B craft, type of craft, white blue. And it shot a laser beam at me, reddish reddish yellow beam at me, and it blinded me in my left eye temporarily for half the night. And then the dropship just hovered over my house for until 5 a.m. with the engines vibrating. Like, they allowed me to hear the engines. So I hope the person is fine. And but why did I see that dark stuff in the remote viewing? Like, did that
I
really
don't know.
happen? Like, and why
Or
did
did it
this?
happen to or did it happen to someone else?
Yeah, yeah. But I was specifically focusing on the person's name that was released temporarily in the group to make sure they were okay. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't, maybe something happened, maybe it didn't, but they didn't want me talking about it. And otherwise, why would they zap me if it wasn't something important that I saw? The fact that they did
Yeah.
zap
Right.
me tells me something there.
Well, I'm not an expert or anything, but it is possible to remote view the future, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
So maybe that's something. I don't know how much control you have over what you're doing, but maybe that's something that could have happened.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that Eliana is the best remote viewer that I know. And so I had the utmost faith in what she was seeing, whether it was real time or future or actually someone else. So I know that what she saw happened to someone or will happen in the relatively near future.
Yeah. And I was told, you are not to have access to this person. Don't look at this person's life information again, or else we will permanently abduct you and never return you to Earth. So I was told, and then they shot me. So I was told to butt out, whether what I saw happen now or will happen or concerning this person. I was told to don't look at their life history ever again, their soul essence. Don't do it, or else we'll come back for you. So I'm staying out of this. I'm not going to look into this person's soul energy ever again. I wish them health, happiness, and best of luck, but I won't be looking into it ever again. I can promise that.
Maybe it was something they decided to show you to try and scare you,
That,
too.
yeah, yeah, that could be. So,
Because they blocked everybody else off instead of doing that to you. Maybe because you're stronger or something, they couldn't completely block you, so they fed you some false info or something.
yeah, that could be,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's possible, and that's why I said don't take this remote viewing as a gospel truth. Don't do this because it can be falsified or it can be changed in what I see in perception. So, but something in there was important enough for them to zap me and warn me
Mm-hmm.
off. So there is something there to it. Don't know what it is. And I saw some dark things and some creepy, very creepy injuries. So, and it was like warning and retribution because of something that.
Well, after I sent receivings, oh, for the listeners, receivings is similar to Reiki on steroids. Um, it's a new healing modality. Um, but after I sent him receivings, that night I had the most god awful nightmare of waking up inside a tray at a morgue.
Ugh.
And
That's
I
rough.
was like, okay, what have I gotten myself into with this? So, yeah.
I, I saw a white medical lab in coldness, a lot of coldness. It's like, what did I get myself into with this remote viewing? And the person said they're fine, nothing happened to them. So let's hope that it is that way. But whatever you and I, Penny, were connected to, we don't want to be. We it goes on a higher level. It's higher up than we are.
Yeah.
Whatever's going on, it's not for us to. It's not our level to get into and look at again. It's above.
Well, I
It's above our
it's
top level.
above our pay grade.
Yeah, above our pay grade for sure. It's whatever's going on or went down or will go down. It's nothing that they want us involved in. It's not for us to look into again. I would say based on the warnings and the hit that I took. But the person should be careful too. Their
Yeah.
safety and security should be
And we're
in.
being real careful to not name him.
No,
I
we
know, I
won't.
know.
No, no, no,
They're
no.
out there watching this right now going, oh my
Maybe.
God, who are they talking about?
No, we're not. We're not going to say who this person is. But I hope their safety and security is taken care of and they're protected. I think that's the most important lesson here. Whatever they're doing, whatever information they're accessing, it's some pretty heavy top notch info that they have, and they need to stay safe. That's the important part here, the safety
Yeah.
and the protection. Because I think
Well,
they're sitting on some info. I think they're sitting on important info, and that info is what's at stake here, what's involved. That's why the warnings, and they're like, stay out of it and don't mess with what you don't need to be in.
well, what about you, Kevin? Have you ever had any type of incidents happen after you've come forward that kind of scared you a little bit? Any threats, anything like that? I mean, outside of the,
Yeah.
for the most part, I think people watching this have heard the story about the guy in the diner and all that. But I mean,
Yeah,
outside,
that was the most like in my face because it was physical. Like they actually sent an MIB to interrogate me like out on the street. So that was a physical thing. But the night before, Elena and I had our first conversation over Skype. I mean, we had talked through private message to set up that we wanted to actually have a Skype call, our first Skype call back in June. And this is just a week after I went public. I did my first interview with Denny on the Why This Is True channel. And I thought that'd be my only interview, by the way. I just kind of get my timeline out because I really took to heart what Tony had said about coming up with a timeline and then presenting it as, best you can. And so I went over my original timeline, did the first interview, and hadn't mentioned, I had other memories I hadn't mentioned yet, and I did remember Elena, but since we hadn't corresponded yet, I didn't want to just publicly say, oh, and I remember, Elena on Mars. But she reached out to me and said, hey, why don't we have a conversation? And so we set up this Skype call, and the night before, I fell asleep, and I heard a knock on my door, and there was two human beings, like just two people, a man and a woman. They were remote influencers because I had fallen asleep and I was actually out of body. So I was remote viewing, but they were remote influencing, and it gets really like hazy because they basically came in the door and like said to me that I shouldn't talk to Elena and tried to scare me away from actually just having a conversation with her over Skype. And it was pretty freaky because I mean, like literally because of my reverse sleep cycle, how it worked out is like literally when I woke up, it was like later in the afternoon, and I was to have that Skype call with her within the next like 2 or 3 hours after I woke up. So it was like pretty immediate that these people showed up and they told me not to talk to her. But there was more to it. Like they said that like telepathically, and then the dream just kind of ended. But I just woke up with this like horrible feeling. But I decided, you know what, like I'm gonna go for it, and I did, and I'm happy I did because Elena has also helped me fill in a lot of the blanks. So they obviously didn't want me talking with her because she's been like really helpful. Her level of recall, there's a lot of like details that I was struggling with. So when I describe something, she can just be like, oh, it's this, it's that, and I'm like, oh, like thanks. Now I can actually classify it. So it's really helped like develop my timeline. So yeah, obviously they did not want me to talk to her. And what's interesting is I won't mention this gentleman's name, but because it's non-public, but he was also going to have a Skype call with Elena. And I mentioned this to him, and he had like the exact same experience, but because he has a wife and kids, he got really freaked out, and he just decided, like, respectively, no, like, I'm not going to go ahead with the Skype call with Elena. So he did get scared away by this, like, remote influencer experience where basically, like, it's so real that you don't even realize you're dreaming. You don't realize you're having an out-of-body experience. It's like you hear a knock at your door, and there's two people standing out there, almost like undercover cops, and they just start, like, in that very, like, one-sided conversation. They're clearly in control. They start, like, asking you questions and, like, also, like, telling you things that you shouldn't do. And as it's happening, then you're realizing, wait a second, this is a dream. And then, boom, it goes black. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that's all it's been for you, because I mean, there's some stories out there. Penny, she's how many times you've been attacked by energy weapons now?
I've been shot 8 times between July 2016, and April 2017. Thankfully, I have not been shot at since then.
And for me, I've noticed when I get involved in SSP related matters, that's when they go after me. If I don't get involved, they don't go after me. That's the interesting bit. I got involved in SSP related business 2 days ago, and like I was texting on my cell phone, passing information, and they zapped me when I was holding my phone. And my phone, my I guess subconsciously, I pressed on the photo button to take a picture when they zapped me. I'm like, what the hell is this on my phone? They just zapped me, and I couldn't see in my left eye. I'm like, I couldn't believe what was on my phone because I was texting. It's not like I had my phone in my hand on purpose at 3 a.m. in the morning. I accidentally photographed them zapping me with a laser beam above the roof line. And that doesn't have any skylights or anything. It's the top of the roof. It goes to the backyard, so it doesn't have any lights or anything. I'm like, and I also took a picture as the craft was hovering there. I have a Galaxy S8 Plus, so the zooming is not that good on it. But it took a picture of this triangle shape, white, blue, glowing, and just hovering there. I'm like, well, something must be important here, but I don't need to see what's more important. I'm just not going to involve myself in this. So it actually caught it live, like in action, evidence of them doing this to me. Because we in the SSP group don't ask for physical evidence or proof of any type. We take your story as it is. But for me, it's like, I snapped a picture when I was blinded. I'm like, I didn't realize. I'm like, and then I went later, a day later, and I actually did infrared of the laser beam shooting at me. It went into the window. I'm like, holy, it's a direct beam shooting at me. So it's targeted. They targeted me for this.
Well, the reason that we accept stories as they are is real veterans don't have proof. If you have some sort of anomaly, you're a rarity. Most of us have been sent back, mind wiped, and no physical proof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why we're there and saying, share your story when you're ready. We don't make anybody share anything. Right now we have a community within our community that's scared to share because Facebook was funded by DARPA and Facebook admits to giving everything to the local police, and these people are afraid. Now, where I live in California, it's not illegal. They won't put you in prison. They may put you in a loony bin if you're too aggressive about it. But there's no cultural problems about it. But Europe, Britain not so much, but the Germanic countries, they'll take your kids away if you start talking about SSP or being targeted or MK Ultra stuff. They're very, very touchy about anything related to Third Reich, Fourth Reich. And they have laws about mentioning anything about the Nazis. And those people lose their jobs, they lose their kids, they lose their homes. I know of people who have lost everything and then had to leave the country. And Australia, we have several group members that have lost their children in Australia because of talking about SSP-related memories. So for some of these people, that group is the only place they have, and they're scared that Facebook is going to share their information with the police.
Wow. I have a question for Kevin. I saw a TR3B like white blue when it attacked me. Like, do you think that's a lower military industrial complex or higher up SSP?
The one I remember seeing, and the one that flew over my house in 2015, that I actually got a picture of, that one's all white. It's all white. So what do you mean by like white and blue?
Well, the color was white with glowing blue, like interchangeable in color. It was the same triangular shape that I sent you a
Mhm.
picture of with the moon.
Okay.
Except it didn't have those green flashing lights on it. Like you were saying, this one was white blue, and it shot some kind of a reddish yellow beam at me, like a laser beam right into my eyes at the window. Like,
Are you saying the hull, the actual hull was changing color, like a
yes,
camouflage? Like,
yes,
okay,
yes.
I think that's pretty advanced because like the Solar Warden one is literally just like you can see the paneling on it. It's just you can tell it was put together. It's just white, and I know it can cloak still. You can you know what I mean? Like it can still
Yeah.
cloak, but I don't think it can like alternate its colors like a camouflage, like a chameleon or anything like that.
Because this was
Uh,
phasing
the
in and
the
out,
the
whitish blue.
that's uh that's the shielding,
Yeah.
the
Because,
energy shielding that changes colors.
Right, yeah.
what,
If you're talking about like a bubble around it, like or there's sort of like you know what I mean, like a shielding, then that could be. But I mean like the actual paint, it's you know what I mean, like the actual
yeah,
paint isn't changing color.
yeah, but it was changing how I perceived it, the actual shape of it, the 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 craft itself, it was changing colors from white to blue, the actual ship, the hull itself. So that could have been the shielding, or it could have actually been the ship itself. What I'm wondering, was it lower military industrial complex or higher up SSP, like off
Did you see
planet?
paneling on it? Was it one piece or did you see paneling on it? That would
It
be my
was
question.
it was one piece with the rotating colors. It did have
In
a
my
hole.
experience, the one piece craft are more advanced. Like that's ICC, like when it's literally mid machined, one piece. Whereas the Solar Warden, it's like they bring these, like they build them in sections. It's sectional.
Mm.
They're like fitted together like Lego, believe it or not. Like they're, which is not that advanced if you think about it. Because, yeah,
Do you think those ships were built on Earth? The older Solar One ones?
yeah, in sections, yeah, and then put
The
together.
old
They can be put together off world, but
Right, right.
uh, there's a base in, I believe, Utah that builds the TRB series underground.
Or it could
right.
just be triangle. It might have not even been a TR3B. I'm just
Right.
associating the triangular, the nice, perfect triangular shape with TR3B. It could have been something else completely, but triangular. But I know it's SSP origin. I'm. It's just I'm
Which
associating.
faction?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
Right.
exactly. Which faction?
that's the prob. Well, I'm thinking it's related to the person who I was remote viewing, so I'm thinking mid-level military industrial complex, but it looked like more advanced. So I'm trying to associate it with the person, but it's also
Well,
associated with
the
me. So
person has not declared which agency,
yeah,
which faction he worked with.
that's
So
true.
that makes it really hard.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And I can't figure out which faction this was. It looks very advanced in terms of the craft, but which faction responsible for it, I don't. It's hard to say. This is what I'm trying to figure out. I should just leave it alone. It's none of it's my
I know it's
curiosity
got to be
will.
killing you to do that.
It is killing me, but my
it is.
curiosity
It's
will.
obviously killing her to let it go.
Oh man.
It's like, and
Uh,
nobody. They didn't tell me. The woman that telepathically contacted me from the ship. She didn't say which faction she was from. I know it was a female voice, and maybe mid-30s, something like that, by the demeanor. She's the one that told me you'll be abducted permanently off-world and never returned. But she didn't claim which faction either, so that's like... But my curiosity can get me in trouble, so I need to let this go.
Well, thanks, Elena, and
Thank you, guys.
Kevin and Penny. It was a great, interesting conversation. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Don.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem.
A result to do the wrong thing. Major crashes and the heart will sing. Check the balance, darling, before leaving town. When you drove away, alert sense of sound.